on to taking advice, let's talk about how we've learned to shoot.
All right, let me make sure I'm still recording. Okay. All right, we're still going. We can keep going. So there we go. Well, that's okay. So how did we learn to shoot? That's a great question because
who trained you, idiot?
Who trained us? So why don't you go first? I won't put you there. I'll take the hit.
I can totally do this,
okay,
because
I
I truly have no expertise whatsoever. I walked into this knowing nothing, and I am just learned as I've gone. And let me tell you, it is not easy. There is a lot to learn, and it's much easier when you are only concentrating on learning one firearm. You don't have to learn about everything that's out there. It is so much easier to learn the one that you pick.
Yes, that's a struggle I've really had. I've actually feel to some degree I've gone backwards in my skill set because I'm shooting almost every single time I go shooting, I'm shooting a different gun.
Yeah.
In a different caliber. Almost every single time for the last 10 years. So I'm and I've tried to pull back and be like, all right, well, this is the gun I'm gonna, try to shoot this one more and more and more. And I've gotten a little bit better at that, but only a little bit.
So my knowledge has come from decades of expertise from folks that have retired from professional service or have taught professionally.
Now, are these relatives or neighbors or friends or
armchair experts from the shop? And also my dad, who took me shooting for my first time, I think when I was 21, he took me and one of my girlfriends, Ashley, out to the range, and we had a girl date under dad's supervision, and it was really cool, and it was one of the best experiences.
That's awesome.
And it made me open to the idea that maybe, just maybe, this isn't so bad, and maybe I can get better at this.
So now, do you still, those things that they taught you in the beginning, are those then what you still have, or have you kind of evolved from there, or where did you go from there?
Yes and no, because not every single one person can show you everything that you are going to need to be comfortable and confident.
Absolutely true.
So
everybody's got something to teach you.
They really, truly do. And
Yes.
so taking the time to talk to more people and to ask questions of many people that you know, maybe that you don't know, does assist in some of that. I've had people get down on the floor at the shop and teach me correct seated shooting positions. I mean, seriously,
I'd like to walk in and shop on that one.
Right? And it's not anybody you would ever expect. It totally is these granddad looking guys with all the white hairs and the bellies and the suspenders, and they're down there getting into these poses that kids in yoga can't even do. And they're like, watch this. And I'm like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
So but it takes practice. It takes years of practice, and it does evolve because you will find things that work better for you.
I find it interesting too that you say, well, as we talked about the different people, learning different things from different people, because like even in here, and we were talking about before we were rolled, is that most of the gunshots in the ceiling had actually come from the law enforcement that are training down here.
Well,
the alphabet agencies that use your facility to train. Let's just leave it at that. And they're shooting the ceiling because of a quick draw method that I've been taught, and I know at least the Missouri Highway Patrol, because that same guy that taught me taught other people, that it's a totally different method. And here they're shooting the ceiling off of this method that they were taught. My guess is through their training.
Some people need more practice than others, and you will not be good. You will not be great the first time you ever take a training class.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So sometimes most of this that you see, the damage to the ranges and stuff, are people who are beginners, who are very early novice, with not as much expertise and not as much time spent in their profession as the ones who are giving the training or senior members.
Oh, I see. So generally you have like a lot of rookies at time down here?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, rookies go and train all the time, and rookies are not always the best at what they do, but there's one way to become better, and that's with practice, and you're gonna mess up.
Yes. Now, and I do want to talk, we'll talk about this a little more in detail in another video, because I do want to talk about how you learned how to shoot with your eyes open and left-handed, and we're going to make another video on that. So let's not get into detail, but did that come natural to you?
No.
Or is that from your dad as well?
That wasn't from Dad, believe it or not. That was not until I started working here at the store, had no idea what to do with guns, and I just sat and I listened. So for a couple hours of every shift, I'm just sitting there absorbing all this information and listening as I hear people on both sides of the counter. And when someone on the sales side of the counter says, okay, now I want you to take the gun, lift it up, and then they'll duck under the barrel on their side of the counter and start adjusting the customer's finger. They'll start adjusting the grip.
Nice.
They'll move their hands. They'll go, okay, now I can see you've got an eye closed. Or when they're sighting in lasers for people and they're like, all right, how do you shoot? Oh, I always close one eye when I shoot. Okay, well, yeah. So it comes from just listening.
Well, good job.
And then trying to accurately imitate what I've heard and seen, some with mixed results, some results better than others. So you'll learn.
You know, most of my shooting style, honestly, because growing up, my parents were very against guns. My parents were hippies, and they were very against guns. My older brother always had BB guns, so
Okay.
so we had that. But in middle school, we started having BB gun wars, and a friend of mine, his eye got shot out, strangely. Eventually, it did. It exploded all over him. It got on me. We went to jail. I was 13. We all got arrested. It was really we had to go to court. Obviously, he had to go to have surgery. He's got a fake eye to this day. Is
super traumatic.
I know. So after that, it was no guns. No guns.
Yeah.
No BB guns, no guns, no squirt guns. There were no guns allowed.
Nothing with
We
triggers.
weren't even allowed to point with our, it was just none. That was the end of it. And then it was just really, it wasn't until, so at that point, all my shooting style came from running around the woods as a teenager and movies, which 80s movies,
Okay.
And so the worst shooting style you'll ever see is when you watch 80s movies. And but then there was a point where it just became more of, well, okay, now I'm gonna acquire firearms for self-defense, and I became more serious about it. And it really wasn't until even if you look at my old videos from 8-9 years ago, you'll see my finger, I think they call it slapping the trigger, where you pull it, but then you immediately let off the trigger. And then you kind of put it there, and I would, I'd do that, and it wasn't until finally somebody did what you said, where I was shooting. He came and he was adjusting my hand as I was holding the gun, and it was the first time I thought, well, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize I was doing that. And I'd watch videos and people would say, well, you're slapping the trigger, and I'm not slapping a trigger. I don't even know what that means. So it's interesting to learn, but I think the purpose of this video, and the reason I wanted to ask you this, is because what we do here is clearly, it's not, there's no master skill set established here. This is just two people who listen, and we try, and we have fun, and we follow safety guidelines and things like that.
And we're still open to taking advice.
Yes.
And we are still open
Forever
to
learning.
taking lessons
Yes.
from any qualified expert who would like to get their butts right here and do it in person.
Forever.
Always
Students.
and forever students
That's
first.
right. Yeah.
So
That's good.
we're just students that get paid to
Yeah.
do what we do.
So if you look at our shooting style and there's something wrong with it, Well, yeah, we know.
Yeah, we're human.
We're very human.
We have flaws. Trust me.
Well, speaking of flaws, we'll just kind of close out. Gosh, thank you for this insight. And I know that it's kind of embarrassing to talk about sometimes, so thanks you for being honest and open about like where we get these mistakes, where we get our shooting style, because it really is. I don't want anybody at any point to think, well, Mark and Maggie, we're like, we're the best shooters.
No.
So when you see groups this big,
please no.
That's just how we are. If you see groups that big, we just happen to be better with that particular firearm.
Yeah, please, I really hate giving advice to people on this. Don't make me do this.
Well, Maggie, let's keep talking. We'll close out here, but I definitely want to get more insights on left-handed shooting, revolver shooting, and shooting with both eyes open. So thanks for this time.
Sure thing.
Awesome.